PreSocratics. Obviously, pre-Socrates. I title this The Greek Miracle. Yeah. And we're going to talk about the emergence from mythology and the very beginnings of philosophy and science. Unless there was any other previous questions from last class, Latin word, let me just give you, write this down in case you don't know, so that when we do a quiz, maybe we'll do a quiz next Thursday on recapping. You're not here Thursday? It's open book, open note, and I'm giving you the answers. Like, what's the matter? It's the easiest quiz you're gonna. Latin word for science is scientia. Scientia means knowledge. Philosophy is a particular or universal science. Universal. What is the etymology of philosophy? It derives from two Greek words. Yeah, which means love of wisdom. True or false? Philosophy is a type of science. True. The definition of philosophy that we gave is the science of what?
All thinking.
Yeah. Or the science or art of thinking correctly about all things. That's it. That's the quiz. Sure you don't want to take it?
Yeah.
Okay, we recap that. I think I got all the questions on that. So let's talk about the beginnings of philosophy and science. Now, think about things. There's all kinds of questions and ways that we can answer questions. And it's interesting because if you look over the course of human thought, there's always these kind of big questions. So, right. And I would say people are still concerned with that. They were concerned with it then and in the age of mythology. I mean, look, there's other big questions I could put here, but I'm going to focus on about 4 or 5 specific types of big questions because it'll play into setting up for the PreSocratics. What is everything made of? Pretty big question, right? Deep. Seems like we're just as concerned with that today as people of antiquity. And maybe there's different ways. Maybe the first 3 questions, kind of different reiterations on the kind of same question and theme. So if somebody says, well, what do you mean by that? What underlies everything? Kind of a different way of asking, what is everything made of? You have all these objects and different stuff, but what's down at the bottom, right? What underlies all of reality? It all thinks. It's kind of it's the same as this question, right? It's just say, well, what is everything made of? Or put another way, fundamental or ultimate building blocks of reality. See how they're kind of all the same questions, they're just kind of getting it different. Fundamental ultimate building blocks. That's what everything's made of. I know I should probably write the next ones out here so that doesn't block, right? But I forgot to put a question mark. Another way to put that was the fundamental or ultimate principle. All reality. And just picking 5 big questions they're going to relate to. Of course, you know, there's questions like, where did we come from? But I'm not concerned with that as far as this lecture. I'm concerned with 5 various questions that the PreSocratics are specifically going to be concerned with. These are 5 questions that we're concerned with today. It's 5 questions in which moderns, pre-moderns, antiquity, and those who lived prior to that in mythology would be concerned with too. Now, let me explain. That derives from a Latin word. Do we have any people here who study Latin? Does anybody want to take a stab at what that probably means in Latin? Principia is the Latin word. Or principia, depending if you pronounce your Latin ecclesial Latin or an academic Latin. People fight over that. Like, that's wrong pronunciation. Principia. Let me give you some other words in which, well, principle, the principle of school is what? What's that? The word? In administration, a principal is what? The leader. Or an authority, what ranking is the principal in administration? Exactly. First. Now, there's many different ways you can talk about somebody being first. First in a race. That'd be like honor, right? First person in the classroom. That's order of time. First in ranking. Yes.
Is it like the origin or the beginning of everything?
Could be the origins or beginning of everything, but not necessarily in time. Because we just illustrated many different ways in which something can be the first. Which the recordings. Yeah. Let me think of it. It'll be better once I start getting into this term. Something could be first in terms of fundamentals, like it's most important. something like that, but it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with time. In fact, an analysis might go back to the fundamentals, right? Although, like in sports, you might start with the fundamentals. It doesn't necessarily have to be that way. Like, what if the coach is like, let's go back to the you didn't learn let me teach you the fundamentals. Somebody teaches the fundamentals of physics, right? The principles, right? Those are explanations. That's what arche, you already said, arche is the Greek word for what?
Origin.
Could be origin. It could be principle. First or ultimate principle of explanation is really what. Now, you've seen, let's to kind of unpack this word. You've seen that word arche in other English words. Somebody have an idea? Archive? Yeah. Archangel. Archive. Archaic. Why am I blanking? I've been having spelling problem. I'm having a stroke today. Like that, it doesn't seem right. I don't know if actually archaic is. Yeah, I think it is archaic, like that, right? That doesn't look right either. That would definitely be the age of archaic. ARCHAI. You ever have that where you write words and it doesn't look right? Another word. Another word. Oh. Democracy was a part with anarch. Patriarch. HE. Here's another one I'm having a hard time with. HE. HI. That's right. Hierarchy. All of them. Any architect has the same. Yes. Good. I think we got enough. So the other thing I forgot to read was be a rule. So mono means what? One. Arche, rule by one. Rule by. Yeah. So if you, what's a theist? Somebody that believes in God. theist or you're a means no belief in God. So when you see these prefixes, often if it's a Greek word, it means not or no. No rule. No rules or no ruler. Anarchy. Pater in Latin. Spanish, padre. Father. Madre in Spanish, mater, rule by mother, rule by father. Hierarch, right, rule, like there's, now let's go to some other ones. So those are all illustrations of rule by, but not all of those are rules. They could be principles of explanation. Archaeology studies the principles or rules of antiquity, right, through ancient societies. To build a building, you need at least two professions. A laborer, right, a construction worker, and an architect. The construction worker puts the stuff together according to what? Yeah, the rule or the fundamental explanation of how that all the parts are supposed to go together. Let's do this one. Archangel. What's the difference between an angel and an archangel? Archangel's high. How many, you don't answer this. Not allowed. How many rankings of angels are there? We've got a bid for 3. We got 7. Somebody says 6. 8. Somebody says 8.
I'll put on it.
9. For extra credit, you can name them.
Michael, Gabriel, Archangel, normal angel.
Normal.
The way they're made.
We gotta get a better.
Maybe type in biblical rankings. Yeah.
I want to get a picture though. With
Or not.
just a good. God, is that baseball players? What the heck?
Oh, I see. That pyramid looks
This one? Just doesn't list all of them. So it goes angels, archangels, powers, dominions, thrones. Yeah, this is missing principalities. I'll do this. Well, this looks kind of cool. It's in Latin. I can't even see the picture.
I think it'd be better. 9. Wow.
So, yeah, who got the 9? You got the 9.
Yeah.
Angels, archangels, principalities, powers, virtues, dominions, thrones, cherubim, in seraphim, in the rank going from bottom up. And so this is all angelology. And that means that, so you have this in all these faiths too. And that means the fallen angels, the demons, also have those rankings too. Lucifer was a seraphim, the highest of many-eyed cherubim, many-winged seraphim, thrones, and they're all given angel, angelos. What's that? Agelos? Yeah. Did I mispronounce? Means messenger. Angelos. I mispronounced it. I was trying to like make it sound more like angel. They all do different things. They all have different rankings. The lowest order deals strictly with individual human affairs. So it's just like government, right? Like you have, or armies or soldiers, right? You have those that deal with individual people. Then as you go higher up, they deal less kind of with personal people and more kind of general plans and stuff like that. Well, the angels are the same way. Of the lowest order, angels, you have like officers, and right? The first among the angels is kind of of that lowest order. So notice we're getting all these different kinds of notions of first, principle, origin, rule to get. Any questions about that so far? Pretty cool, huh? If I can think of another word that has arche in it. Okay, let's go back to, no pun intended, the fundamentals, first principles. What is the fundamental principle or arche of all reality is not talking necessarily about, for the PreSocratics, the origins. It might. But what we'll see is most of the Greeks didn't believe that the universe had an origin. They believed it was eternal. They didn't believe in a creation ex nihilo. That's why when Christianity actually started saying that God created out of nothing, like for the Greeks, they were like, what? They'd never heard or thought stuff like that. They were more concerned with what kind of rules, right? What's the fundamental building blocks? What kind of explains everything? What's down at the bottom? What is everything made of? That's a principle behind everything. What's the principle behind all of reality? That everything shares in, that explains everything. That's an arche. And that's an ultimate explanation. That's going to answer, well, that's the fundamental building block. That arche is a fundamental building block. That's an explanation that explains everything. That's what underlies everything. That's why we want to say, like, let's get down to the bottom of it, right? What are you looking for when somebody says that? You're looking for an ultimate and fundamental explanation for whatever you're talking about. I would say, what is everything made of? Well, we're all concerned, regardless, and by the way, I've mentioned this before, irregardless is not a word. It's regardless. Now you know. Those in the age of mythology were concerned with all these questions too. Let me share a screen just for our recording. I better put my glass. I keep squinting. I better put my glasses on that I don't have. Oh, here they are. Well, isn't that weird? This is actually really weird. Do you know I just grabbed that in my bag? The 9 rankings of the angels. I didn't even know I had that.
That has to be something demonic. God did that.
Now you only got the receipt.
And they're all surrounding and holding up Christ. Is funny.
Did you put that there or no?
No, I mean, it's been in my bag. I just, when I was reaching for my glasses, I grabbed. Not surprising, though. Well played, God. Okay. Nice. Let's talk about the age of mythology. Does anybody know what this picture is of? Oh, it's Medusa. Perseus. That's right. Everybody's like, why are you naked, Perseus? Like, did you really have to take off all your clothes to kill Medusa? That's what everybody was actually really wanting. But then they rewrote that story. They're like, I don't know. What is Medusa?
One of the gods.
I think she's transformed, right? She was cursed.
Athena is actually a blessing, but the story is that she was basically the clouds and then Athena got pissed and turned her into a snake and protected her.
A symbol of protection. Interesting. To protect.
So like that would never happen.
That what wouldn't happen, that she would get. Oh yeah, defiled. That's right. Now, so obviously this is a story, and so we're trying to figure out if Perseus is the hero. Now, why is it? Now, notice part of the story though is she's obviously ugly, right? She does not possess the beauty that she wants to. But she's not just ugly and lacks beauty. Her ugliness actually does what to people? Turns you into stone if you look at your eyes. Yeah. Now, I guess there's some sort of explanation, but maybe this is kind of just a general commentary on, and this is another theme that runs throughout the beautiful and the ugly, the profane and the good. And I don't think, especially for the Greeks, ugly wasn't just, and the profane, limited to ascetics. It could be an ugly or profane life that one lives. Yes.
Fun fact, the Greeks, when they sacrificed humans to the gods, they only sacrificed them.
That's weird. I wonder why.
I don't know.
Well, that's not much of a sacrifice.
When did they draw the?
Bring out the worst of us, right? It's like gods are like, yay, thank you for. Which is weird. I bring that up because what's weird is usually in other cultures they offer the best.
I don't know why, but
What made it first ugly though? Like how did they? Like how were they medium like both?
Do you want the Greek answer? And this goes into like philosophy of art and aesthetics. Usually have to do with like proportion. So they have, and they even trace that to mathematical portion too. I want to show you a famous picture. Do you guys like philosophy of art?
Yeah.
Da Vinci Resolve. I already have that program. Da Vinci's how many people have seen this? Up nudity, and right there. So the edited version. Did you know this is related to mathematics? How many people have ever heard of the golden ratio? It also goes to the golden mean. This is a something in Euclid. So here is so with the radius circumference, the radius here, what we have is a line AB, CD. And Euclid constructs this as a right angle triangle here, and then through the center. And what he notices is that each one of these lines relate to each other. Sorry, so this circumference AB is the diameter. And what we figure out is that AC stands in the diameter to the rest of the diameter CB. Sorry, CD. So this, its length or number is related to that. So when you see this, that's just a relation. You could actually put this in a fraction too. So if this was 1, and this was 2, the fraction would be like that. That line AC is to CD as that CD is to CB. So if CB was 5, or let's say 4, what you would have is a proportion between those numbers. Now, what's really interesting, that's what's called the golden proportion. And it's proportional, right? And there's a sort of kind of beauty in mathematics. And what's really interesting is then you can, let's remember how this goes. You can do that. And then this, you can take that proportion, you can keep going. And if you connect all the dots, you will get something known as the golden spiral. So see how you can even do it just with the squares like that, but do you see it's the same proportion going all the way down there? And look at that, it's even in nature. Isn't that cool?